UFC have got to stop doing this, okay? Main events in their championships are not there so that we can have ambiguous results and instant rematches. I'm sorry, but that's just sad, okay? The only person who has legitimately deserved an instant rematch was, in recent times, has been Lyoto Machida and Shogun Rua. Because that was obviously a total misnomer with judging. And it was proved correct when they met in the rematch, of which Shogun waited a good 7 or 8 months. Now you have BJ Penn, who drops to Frankie Edgar and he gets an instant rematch. Okay, I would say let him do somebody else and then go back to it. But no, he has an instant rematch and maybe it's only about 4 months apart. I can about handle that. But I'm beginning to get a little bit tired of every single main event being, let's have another go. So, Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard. You know, Gray Maynard had his shot, he lost. What he needs to do is fight somebody else, and then, if he wins, go back. And I'll tell you why. Because the UFC have already promised a WEC unification bout between Frankie Edgar and Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis now has to fight somebody else, which is absolutely ridiculous, okay? Because if he loses WEC championship, what? Do you know what I mean? He can't then fight the champion and have a unification match, can he? No. And he can't wait for 6 to 8 months for Frankie Edgar to get round to his instant rematch with Gray Maynard again, where the result will probably be the same again, and then he's been on the shelf for God knows how long, and he's going to fail due to ring rust. It's an absolute farce, okay? So when you come to thinking of the match between John Fitch and BJ Penn, and the fact that that ended in a draw, and of course neither guy is satisfied with it, and oh, I know, we'll have an instant rematch. I'm really quite annoyed because they've got to stop doing this. Okay, they're making it about 2 or 3 people for draws over and over and over and over again. Meanwhile, all the little guys are waiting their turn when they're actually more exciting and a lot better. I don't think it was a draw. Okay, I have to say, I think that John Fitch probably won that one. Maybe you could swing it in BJ Penn's defence. I think it was quite close. A draw is a farce. And I'm not sure, you know, however much they claim that the judges are not, you know, in the pockets of the UFC. We do know that the UFC dislikes John Fitch, that he's been in contendership forever, that they do not want him to get to title shots, and it may have been that, you know, if it's close, either give it to BJ Penn, or if you can't legitimise that, make it a draw. Anything to stop John Fitch winning. Call me cynical, but I would not put that past them. You know, and let's have a rematch, and God help us again, perhaps BJ Penn will win this time. Then we can knock John Fitch out of contention altogether. I mean, I do think that John Fitch is a reasonably boring fighter, but then so is GSP. And I think, you know, GSP would be able to handle John Fitch, again, if I remember rightly. And I just think, you know, give John Fitch his shot, and if he makes it well, you know, his style is no worse than GSP's, to be honest, and if he doesn't, well, at least he's had a fair go. BJ Penn, I said, you know, not the most brilliant guy at welterweight, never was, okay, never should have been a welterweight, was given the match with Matt Hughes originally, where he won the championship, as a complete gift from the management when he failed to beat Jens Pulver, failed to beat Carl Luno at 155. Since then, since his return, he has shown us that he is actually not up to being a welterweight. Apart from, you know, catching Matt Hughes with a good punch, well, everybody can catch people at some point. I did say this was the match that would prove whether I was wrong and whether he deserved to be at welterweight or whether he should go back to lightweight, put in the effort, put in the work, climb up the ladder again, and wait until Frankie Edgar is out of sight, which will probably not happen with Gray Maynard, but I don't see Frankie Edgar as being a glass ceiling, not like Penn. And I think at lightweight he still has time to have a good long reign again before retirement. Do I think it's stupid that people are calling for his retirement? Yes, obviously. You know, he loses a few matches and suddenly he's supposed to retire. No, I don't think so. But he's not a welterweight. He shouldn't be a welterweight. He should be moved back down to the lightweight where he can at least flourish and do well. It's nonsense having him at welterweight. Absolute nonsense. So I thought I'd just say that I think this has shown that, you know, he is not good enough. You know, a draw is not good enough. He needed to beat John Fitch in dominant style. Did he learn a lot? Yes. I was quite impressed with the takedowns on John Fitch as well. But he wasn't good enough on the ground to get that RNC submission, and he learnt the takedowns from Matt Hughes. So, do you know what I mean? It's not good enough. And now on to Michael Bisping, who will know I'm not a big fan of anyway. You know, he doesn't represent the country very well. He didn't in Tough, and he certainly doesn't after his spat with George Riviera. You know, in the first round he's docked points because he's cheating, basically. And when he does win legitimately, he goes and spoils it by spitting in the face of the other corner. I mean, please, do you know what I mean? That I am shocked how people like that, you know, think that they can be taken as serious athletes and act in that manner, you know. And Michael Bisping is not alone in doing things like that, in acting in a disgraceful manner. You know, I thought that the idea was that we were taking this sport as a serious mainstream sport, not as a halfway point between professional wrestling and, you know, a spectacle, if you like, of violence, where, you know, the athletes at the end continue to fight or continue to brawl and continue to act disgracefully when the competition is over. It's disappointing because he is probably one of the top people to represent, you know, this country in that institution, and sorry, but it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. So there we are.